I was living in Jordan for 7 months. I can tell you, like, people are terrified of what the United States might do. The government and the king of Jordan don't exert their own independence because they're terrified of what the United States might do. And the whole enterprise of bombing and destroying Hamas and destroying Saddam Hussein and destroying Libya has been to teach everyone other than the United States of what could happen to you if you dare resist. And so people
Yeah.
don't resist. They are inherently non-resistant. They bear the consequences of this tyranny because of what they can see happens to those who resist. The fault of Hamas is that they dared resist. They dared say, we have a right to exist. We have the right to freedom. We have the right to our own land. And the consequence of that was annihilation. And the lesson that everyone has learned is that if you dare stand up for yourself, if you dare stand up for international law, if you dare stand up for your own dignity, you will be annihilated. And this is what everyone is now experiencing all across the Middle East. They are fearful of annihilation. And if they challenge that, they know what lies for them. They know this is a genocide that awaits them. And so
Yeah.
the lesson that the United States has taught the world by genociding the Palestinians is that if you dare stand up to our hegemony, you will be killed. Your whole society will be killed. Your pregnant women will be annihilated. Your children will suffocate. You will be starved to death. And this is why countries like Jordan, this is why countries like Syria do not dare stand up to the United States, because they have seen the example of what the United States can do. And I'm sorry if I'm becoming emotional right now, but the United States, what pisses me off more than anything else is that you guys, and I'm not talking about you, Kim, but 99% of those who voted for the same shit that the rest of the world has been terrified of. How have you not learned what you have done to the rest of the world? 80% of all foreign military interventions since the Second World War has been the United States. Half of the world's military budget that has been spent has been the United States dominating the rest of the world. And you keep voting for that? And you dare criticize Assad? You dare criticize Assad? You dare criticize Khomeini? When you vote for the same thing, you vote for the same horror that you say is intolerable for other people to do. And I'm sick of it. I'm genuinely sick of it. And I've been fighting it all my career, all my life. And to be honest, I've got to the point now seeing, I don't know if like my resolve can continue anymore from seeing what is now happening. Al-Qaeda is now, being celebrated. Are we to believe this? Are we supposed to forget our own minds? Is the only way for us to exist in this world is to forget our own memory? Al-Qaeda, they were responsible for 9/11. They were the most demonized, hated entity in the world. And now they're being celebrated by the United States, by the United Kingdom. The UK Parliament right now is having a debate about whether to stop prescribing HTS, which is a affiliate organization of Al-Qaeda, as a terrorist organization. Why? Because they are now our friends. And I'm sick of it. I'm so done with it. And I liken Assad to a cancerous tumor. He was a horrible person, a tumor. But if we're not going to deal with the cancer, which is the way that we treat people in the Middle East, or the way that we treat non-white people, then what's the point of squeezing out that tumor?
Mm-hmm.
You're spreading the cancer everywhere else. And you know what the root cause is, Kim? And it's so beautifully said by the prophets, by Jesus Christ, by Moses, by the prophet Muhammad, is love thy neighbor as thyself, treat thy neighbor as thyself, learn that thy neighbor is yourself, you are them. If people would see that, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now. You wouldn't be bombing and suffocating and starving and celebrating all the horror that we're seeing. And I don't know. I feel like I've been an optimist all my life, and to be honest, in the last few days, The only thing that keeps me sane, the only thing that keeps me awake is a form of spirituality that keeps me connected to the present moment because honestly, fuck everything else. Like I cannot bear what I know is about to happen in Syria, and I know that because I used to collect witness statements. I used to write, instruct medical experts to collect evidence about torture, and I used to go to detention centers and deal over and over and day after day of women, pregnant women, elderly women in detention centers, and I lost my fucking mind trying to help and walking out and seeing in the front page of the news how demonized these people were. They're human beings. They're like you and me. They've got the same blood as you and me. They've got the same right to exist. They've got the same soul. They've got the same joy. They've got the same fears as you and me. And unless we recognize that, then, this is going to continue to happen. I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but maybe like if we don't get emotional about the shit that we're seeing right now, then what the fuck have we got left?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I know that, as you mentioned, here in the United States, our choices are between one person controlled by the oligarchy or another person controlled by the oligarchy, and the oligarchy controlling the propaganda machine, which is the media, which then brainwashes the public to, like what we're seeing, cheer on Al Qaeda taking over Syria.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we've seen now the propaganda machine excuse a genocide that we were all taught growing up. We learned about the Holocaust and we were taught these are the signs. It's the dehumanization, the calling them animals, making them lesser than. And we watch the Israelis do this over and over. And our politicians, who are really run by their oligarch masters, sit there and excuse it. Not even just excuse it, they champion it, they cheer it. It's worse than just excusing it. They actually cheer it on. And we're now seeing another insane manifestation of this. I mean, it's one thing if people are going to sit there and deny a genocide, like many of them have been doing. It's another thing to watch them now cheer on Al Qaeda taking over Syria. It's like, uh, I mean, that's even more obvious. This leader was ISIS and Al Qaeda, and now he's taken over Syria, and people are, you can't deny that he was ISIS and Al Qaeda. But of course, they're still doing a great song and dance around it, saying, "Well, but he's not anymore. You know, he's moderate. He's changed." As if somebody de-radicalizes after spending many years in the leadership of Al Qaeda and ISIS. I mean, it's just goes to show how fragile the human mind is, how we're easily manipulated, we're
You
easily
know,
brainwashed.
if I could leave you, Kim, and everyone who may or may not be listening to this with one message, it's to let go of the barriers that separate you and I and everyone else. We are fundamentally the same stock. We have the same values, we have the same fears, we have the same joys, we have the same happinesses. Um, American, Saudi, Muslim, Christian, Jew, we're human. Homo sapiens have been around on this planet for what, like 100,000 years. We're not even the first humans. There's so many different other types of humans. Homo erectus, Homo neanderthal. We don't realize that we're one big family. Genetically, it's true, by the way. All of us, virtually everyone on the planet, has lineage in Judea. Genetically, it's true. I have two parents, four grandparents, eight great grandparents. If you use the exponential rule times two, go back to 2,000 years ago. If each of us had independent lineages, we would have each trillions and trillions and trillions of great 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 grandparents. The only way it makes sense is we actually all have the same lineage. Every one of us has ancestors from Africa. Every one of us has ancestors from Judea. We're one big family, and all of this division is It's a myth. It's an illusion. We're not different to each other. Um, but we subordinate, we oppress, we dominate each other. We take each other's resources and we forget that the other person is human. And we use such terrible, terrible dehumanizing language to justify that oppression. And I think if all of forget about Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism and Hinduism and any kind of humane tradition tells us the same thing. Any mystical tradition, any humane, ethical interpretation of what we mean, what it means to be a human being, is that treat thy neighbor as thyself. In fact, Jesus said the whole religion can be boiled down to that one sentence: treat thy neighbor as thyself. Muhammad, peace be upon him, peace be upon all of them, said, no one is a true believer until he wants for his brother what he wants for himself. Forget everything else. Forget the doctrine, forget the masjids, forget the churches, forget the synagogues. Treat them as yourself. And if we were to apply that rule, we would realize how fundamentally we fucked up right now. Who wants a pregnant woman to be dealing with a cesarean section without anesthetic? What's been going on tens of thousands of times right now in Gaza? Would you want that to be like torn open living in a cramped tent, like having no food for days? Dealing with also, having your daughter turn up in your house in a plastic bag. Who wants that? Is that Christianity to do that? Is that Judaism? Is that Islam? No. Are we practicing these faiths? No. And so if we fucked up on these basic essentials of what it means to be a human, what it means to be a religious, faithful person, then we've lost. And to be honest, I've been doing as much as I can for 20 years, both as a barrister, going to court every day and fighting, pleading, with ripping out my teeth and my fingernails, going to court, going to detention centers, trying to beg a judge, please see this person as a human being. And they don't. And we fucked up royally. And I think we just need to go back to our basic essentials, destroy the barriers that separate us. Rumi put it best. Our job is not to find love, but to seek and destroy all the barriers that we've put up against it. Being American, being brown, being white, being black, whatever it is, all these false illusions that make us feel different to each other. Sorry, Kim, but I've lost. I've been as resilient as I can be. Seeing what's going on now, I don't know if I can deal with it anymore. I just feel like we're at stage 4 terminal cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well said. Very well said. Sometimes I find myself hoping for an alien invasion. I mean, I feel like that might be the only way to bring humans together, for people to realize we are the same.
To try to give some offer of hope. You've reached out to me. I don't know why or how. Something about me or whatever I said made you think, this guy seems like a good guy to talk to. So you've retained your humanity. You've witnessed something in me that made it worth reaching out to me. I believe in that. Keep that candle burning. That's all we have. And if we have hope, it's that. Like, recognize our humanity.
Yeah.
That's it.
I do have hope still. I do see change happening in areas and with groups of people that I never thought I would see the change. I do see a very mixed reaction to Syria falling to Al Qaeda, coming from both the left and the right, rather than historically maybe the right cheering or the left or whatever it is. I am seeing more and more voices speak up against the genocide with the Palestinians. I mean, that's something that people were afraid. I was afraid even after I had visited the West Bank myself, and I'd come back and I shared what I saw, and I was afraid, and that was in 2019. I was afraid of just I would talk to average people about what I saw, and they wouldn't believe me, or they would think, you're just an anti-Semite or something. But now that's different. And now I can speak up more voicefully than I was able to before. So that I,
Yeah.
I see change happening. I mean, I know it's depressing, and it could be, especially as we see Israel continue to march forward with taking more land and doing more damage and bombing. Now they're bombing Syria completely, and Lebanon, and I mean they have really expanded this war. And I largely think they're behind what happened in Syria. They claim it was just like a domino effect, but I have a hard time believing that they weren't heavily
It was
involved in
Israel.
that.
It was Israel who was coordinated this entire scheme.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's foolish to think otherwise. Um, but you know what? You know why despite my rant just now about my concerns about humanity, um, the reason I would never give up on this hope is because there is so much joy and peace and something intrinsically me about knowing that no matter where someone is from, no matter what their background is, no matter what their religion is, we share something which is our, there's no word for it actually. Any word doesn't do it justice. Call it humanity, call it our soul, call it love. And I don't think those who are celebrating genocide know what that means. And it's so joyful. It gives it's like a tonic that pours, cool water on any fire. And therefore, no matter how depressing the world is, knowing that that is there, there's this reservoir, this infinite reservoir of love that is there, makes me actually, in a way, pity those who are supporting genocide, because you don't know what that is. You don't know how good that is. You don't know how beautiful that is to just sink into that reservoir of love. And I meditate, I pray, I sink into that. It's the best feeling in the world. Um, and that's what gives me courage, knowing that that exists. In because I'm a Muslim, I would call it Allah. But if you call it God, if you call it Jesus, if you call it whatever it is, like if you can realize that one kind of infinite joy that comes from letting go of your attachments, then you've got it. So I feel at peace no matter how terrible the world becomes, because I know what that feels. I know how good that is to just surrender.
Well, let's hope for a better future. Let's continue hoping for a better future, and not give up. But Osman, thank you so much for joining us tonight and expressing your passion and your emotion towards this topic. I think we need to see more of that. More people need to be getting emotional and passionate about this. I think that's the only way we're going to make change and stop the bloodshed that we have inflicted all across the Middle East and other parts of the world as well. But the Middle East is obviously the most um, intense at the moment, that the military industrial complex has been focusing itself on. And, um, the world, I think the world is waking up to Israel's crimes and to the United States' crimes. And unfortunately for me as an American, it's, it's tough being part of a country that is the bad guys. I mean, we grew up always being told we were the good guys. I'm sure that was just propaganda and indoctrination, but we believed it. We believed we were the good guys, that we were going around the world doing good things. And then now that I look back at the history, and my family comes from Vietnam, we were refugees from the Vietnam War. And, then you kind of start realizing, well, wait, when were we the good guys? I don't know. I mean, you have to go all the way back, I guess. Maybe World War II, we were the good guys, but were we? Because we weren't willing to get into that war until, It wasn't, we didn't get into it for humanitarian reasons, that's for sure. So when were we the good guys? I don't know. Maybe we never were. And maybe we still aren't, and we never will be until we make some serious fundamental changes. I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going
To
to, going forward.
To every American listening to this, my message is your inherent nature is good. I believe in the inherent goodness of humans. Even the most horrible and barbaric kind of militant people. I think this is an accumulation of separation that has disassociated those people from everyone else. But our
Yeah.
nature, the thing that we were born with is goodness. If we can come back to that, it's not a process of learning, it's actually a process of unlearning. Forget about being American, forget about being Vietnamese even. Forget about being a woman. Forget about being a man. Forget about being whatever color someone has told you that you are. Just remember that you're alive, and so are we. And we're experiencing this beautiful world that we're in together. If you can come back to that, I think you can see yourself in the other. You can recognize that even those who you think are your enemies are actually you. Um, that's not to say we shouldn't take action. I think that we upon learning that we should take action. We need to stop those committing genocide. We need to stop those committing these atrocities by telling them that they're wrong. But
Yeah.
keep as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu text. Launch into the din of battle, but keep your feet at the heart of the lotus. Jump into battle, take action, but keep your heart at peace. And I think all spiritual and religious texts basically tell us that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have your Twitter link down below for people to find you there. I highly recommend people follow you. You've been posting some really great videos and messages on your Twitter account. Where else? I know that you're the co-director of the Civilian Agenda, and you guys produce documentaries focusing on armed
Yeah.
conflicts and the need for civilian protection. Where can people watch these documentaries?
Well, we only
Do you have any out yet?
No, we're working on one on Gaza, obviously.
Okay.
We that should be out soon. But you can see we're actually building a community. We do monthly meetups, and it's a kind of a human community of people all over the world who are invited to report on what's going on in their part of the world. So, after what I've been through, I decided that the only thing that matters is human connection. And the Civilian Agenda is a vehicle for us to do that together.
Okay. Do you have a link to that we can place down below, or is this?
Yeah, the civilianagenda.org.
Okay, great.
Please
Well, we'll
check it out.
place that down below, make sure that that's there. So, Osman, thank you so much again for your
Thank
time
you.
and your passion and your care and your emotion. We need more people like you in the world, that's for sure.
You too, Kim. Thank you so much.